Parshas Tetzaveh. One of the understandings of the word achno, humility, is that a person understands that not only I don't know why, I also don't know what's happening. That's one of the deep understandings of achno. Most of us, in any given situation, we feel, okay, we have the case, we understand what's going on, this is it, it's black and white. Now, the question is, why did Hashem do that to me? Then the person starts having this conversation in his mind. Maybe because I did that Aveda. No, but then I did this mitzvah. Maybe because my neighbor. But it doesn't stim. And they start trying to figure it out. And sometimes along the way the person says, something, maybe I can't figure it out. Sometimes it takes them longer to come to that conclusion. But the simple understanding that achnoah means, so 1 second, I don't even know what's going on. So how could I figure out why? Now, what does that mean? So many times we see only half of the picture, and we're actually not understanding what's happening. The work, a person is supposed to work on themselves, that even when it seems to be that you do know what's happening, there's nothing missing in the picture, this is the case. I still don't know what's happening. I only know a minor part of this story. When there's a fight between two people, it says, this is what it is, I got into a fight with him. This is what happened, it's very simple. There was this thing happened, that thing happened, then we got into a fight. You don't know the whole story. The same way a person doesn't know the whole story, what's happening by his neighbor. And if you're a bit older, you don't know what's going on in that person's life. The same exact is that you don't know what's going on in your life. It's amazing. You don't really know what's going on. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Now, I'm going to repeat a story, which as we speak, it's the middle of the story. But just the part that already happened is so fascinating that it's like, it's not normal. This story is happening right now. I just heard it with the names, with the exact information. Someone that's very, very close to the family. And he just heard it half an hour before the share. He's telling me it's happening right now. There's a younger man that's in his mid-40s, and he felt a schwachkeit, he felt weak, and he went to the doctor, and they took tests, and then they came back with the bitter news that Nebuchi has cancer, he has Yana Machla in the mind, in the brain, and it's stage, it's all over the place. There's absolutely nothing to do, and there's no point in treating it, and the doctors told him that he should talk to his family members, and his father lives overseas. This person's father, his father should come. His father is right now in where he lives. His father came from wherever he lives, and they took a second opinion, third opinion. This is it, scans and everything. This is the case. Now, this young man heard the news and, digested that this is the situation, spoke to his family members, the wife and children, and one thing bothered him, that he has $800,000 choivus in debt, and he doesn't want to go away with leaving over the choivus. He doesn't want to leave his family. He feels, like the musik of a last wish. If he could know that was taken care of, it would give him such ease, it would give him comfort. So his friends, very close friends, got together. They said, we're doing this for you. They just started a campaign. I don't know if it was last week or what. They started a campaign of $1 million. $1 million. The people should get together. We'll cover it for him. He should know and he should see. Now his father came from overseas. Now, this situation, no doctor wanted to treat because no point. It's in the brain. And to start making surgeries, there's no point. Yidden are Yidden, and they were looking for a doctor that would be maskim to treat this patient, even though there's 0% chance. and they got one doctor. One doctor was masking to treat the patient. So it's that kind of surgery. We're talking about a serious business. Now they opened up the moyach. There's no cancer. There is no cancer there. The story is there's a blood clot. There's a blood clot in the brain, and the scans all showed. Every doctor read it the same way. All the symptoms, everything, was showing that this is it, and they have to take care of it. You shouldn't have a stroke or aneurysm, but they're treating. The younger man is not awake yet. As we're speaking, the family members are now dancing and singing and don't know what to do with themselves, that they got back their father, and he has no idea yet. This younger man itself has no idea. We're discussing about it before he knows. Now, it's nes al gabe nes, because they would have never treated a blood clot. It's not something, and it makes no sense, this story, but this is the exact information for right now. This is what's happening. In today's days, right now, happening in the Maaseh. Now, every Maaseh that Hashem lets us know about, there's so many that we don't know, but every Maaseh that Hashem lets us know is because it's a lesson. Hashem wants us to learn the lesson. There's a lot of lessons. This story is going to be, I'm sure it's going to get printed, or I don't know yet, but it'll get out. And there's going to be an addition to the story of that he helped Amanas for Yisoimim, and it'll all be true, because Azay v'takazayin. Now, the truth is that they didn't decide yet what to do with the funds, because one of the nisim is that people started paying back his chayvus because of this whole thing, and I'm sure that they're going to be masking to give them money to pay back the chayvus, even though he's alive. But so he on the way. So he wiped off the $800,000 chayvus. But one of the lessons of the story, one of the lessons is that not only we don't know why, we don't know what's happening. We're sure, and we always act that this is it. And now the question is, what do we do about it? Or the question is always why? And we strain our brain, and we invest so much energy in figuring it out and being disappointed and like asking questions, and everything built on a basis, on a yesod, the yesod is, I know what's happening, I understand the situation, and now the question is only how to react to that. Hachno means a person's trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do al pi Torah? And he says, even though it's very tempting to do something else, but why is it so tempting? It's so tempting because I'm sure that this is the situation, and for this I want to do that. But let's say I would put an indicator in my mind. You might want to follow the Torah. You know why? Because take into consideration, the story might be totally different. So if you're going to react with your vision, because you feel, I can't follow what the Torah is saying, it's too hard for me right now. You might be doing something to total different direction, because your assumption that this is the case. Like all the people that lose millions in stocks, they don't know what's happening. So it's all on the assumption, and then they lost all the money. So when is a person secure? A person is secure only by saying, I don't care what the reality is. I don't care. I know that I don't know the reality. I know. But I'm secure. If this is what Hashem lets me know, this is what Hashem wants me to do. Next. That's it. It's, in Lashon Hara, this factor comes in so many times. In Lashon Hara, it comes in so many times. When you feel that if you're just gonna say this and this about that person, you could save it. Or by Shidduchim, you heard that person saying this, that person saying that. And you don't want to react right now because the Torah doesn't let. But you feel you're giving up everything for not talking. Now the fact that you are feeling like that is to give you the schar. Because Mesiras Nefesh, it's going to be counted like Mesiras Nefesh, that's for sure. But in the truth of the matter, it wasn't even Mesiras Nefesh. It's only the feeling. which that's what counts to get the schar and to strike and to come closer to Hashem. But for real, you weren't losing anything to begin with, because you don't understand the story. And so many times, just by saying it, how many times a person, if they would have just waited an hour and not spoken, it would have been resolved on its own. Everything would have been mesuda. And now, they can't take it back. That's one of the examples. The same example is with Ribui Shtadlis. Same exact example with Ribui Shtadlis. Or with money that's not kosher money. We'll quote a story that the young man himself just told me. That now in America, the government is giving lots of money they're investing lots of money to help children that are struggling. Because they figured out that it'll cost them cheaper to help these children, and then they'll be doing well, rather than they should grow up and not be successful, and then it's going to cost them much more. So there's all these programs. So, this is the story of the singer man. The singer man, he gets a phone call from a mother. The mother tells the young man, I want you to learn with my boy twice a week, 3/4 of an hour. I'll pay you $500 a week. $500 a week. Decent. He says, okay. He starts learning with the boy. After 4 weeks, he comes back to the parents. He says, okay, so we finished 4 weeks. What's going on? She says, okay, beautiful. Here, sign these papers. So what are these papers? He says, I don't have the money, but the government is paying for it. My son needs the help. You're learning with the boy, so put in your information. Okay. Starts putting in the information. And then he sees that he has to write in the box that he learns with this boy 3 hours a day. He calls the mother. He says, I don't learn with the boy 3 hours a day. She says, yeah, but that's what you have to do, because the max is $500 a week. That's how much they give. He says, but I don't do it. She says, yeah, but everybody does it. That's how it goes. He says, I'm not signing. She tells him, no, you don't understand. For me, it's like you're learning with my boy 3 hours a day. Because it's so choshev for me. You do such a good job with him. The whole runaround. Now, he said, I'll continue learning with your boy, but I'm not doing this. Have the papers. I'm not doing that. Now, this is a Ingaman. He wants to be Erlich. Halavai, more people would understand that. But listen to the end of the story. A few days go by, he gets a phone call from someone that I happen to know that person as well. He tells him, I have a Ingaman that needs chizik. He needs chizik. I want you to have a shaykhis with him. All I want you to, you have a shaykhis with him. Talk to him. He's not really in the madrig of learning. I'll give you $500 a week. This is the exact information. I'll give you $500 a week. Have a shaykhis with him. Be in touch. Put him into your contact. He sits back and he says, wow, Hashem has it for me, the money. Now, he could have never known, that's for sure. Most people never know. Why? Because they can't, the temptation is too big to take it the other way. So they never know what's waiting for them. The whole Yiddishkeit is, with not knowing, you should give it up, and you should rely on Hashem, not because you know, because that's what Hashem said. But again, what does it bring us back? A person has to have a deep level of achnor in any situation to say, listen, maybe I'm not doing such a mesirus nefesh. It's mechazik. I don't know what's happening. What do I know? So let me just follow what the Torah says. And then I know that I did what's right. It's so comforting. A person feels so secure with themselves when they know, why did I do that? I did it because I did what I'm supposed to be doing then. If I lost money, if I gained money, ich weiß nicht. But I did what Hashem told me to do. In a lot of cases, people know that they don't know. Without having the achno, they figure it out. A lot of people by shidduchim, they feel, how do I know the future? I don't know. It could look very geschmack, but people know they don't know. They're shivering. They have no idea they're doing the right shidduch or not. So they say, listen, let me see if I have a simim in Hashemayim. Let me ask a tzaddik. Let me see if it goes. Some people, they put like an obstacle. Some people say this to do it. Put like an obstacle. See. If you see that constantly it's just going, and you have derech no asking Hashem, please show me the right way. Then what they're doing is they're constantly reminding themselves, I have no idea where I'm going. I don't even know what's happening. And a lot of people, that's what they testify after they went through they did a shidduch or something like that has a strong effect in their life. They say, I'll tell you the truth, the last 2 weeks, I was just on neutral. I feel I was just going. I had no say in the matter. They felt that feeling. The idea is that Hashem wants us to feel that, even though people feel they're standing with their 2 feet on the ground, and they really, really have the situation out. They really know what's happening. They know what he said. They know what's going on. They know what they're investing. They know the whole deal. Then they should feel the same way. Every day, I have no idea what's going on. People, the more people they tell it to their minds, the more they see Nisim. They open up the doors of Nisim, not by waiting for a Nes, not by davening for a Nes, just by entering the world of the unknown. They enter that world. I spoke to a person that did it on the bus. That means they were traveling in Eretz Yisrael on the bus, and they got fatrach. They were sitting, they were just daydreaming, and they found themselves that they forgot to get off. They had no idea where they are, and how do I get back? They needed to go to a doctor's appointment. That was the story, and they found themselves in a total different area. That's what happened. That helped them click into that world. I have no idea. I guess Hashem is taking me somewhere. Okay. So they just asked someone, they got off the next step, said they were waited by a bus stop. Where do I get to that area? And they were like in a daze. They were like, Hashem is taking me somewhere. The end of the story is very interesting. That person told me the story firsthand. 2 parts to that story. One part is that they went to the doctor after taking 2 buses, 3 buses, and the secretary says, I don't believe this. The secretary in the doctor's office turned colors. He said, you're serious? You didn't hear my messages? I feel so bad. You must have came from who knows where, how long. I left you 3 messages. You must have just left the house. The doctor didn't come in today. This secretary was even more amazed from the tguva, from the reaction of that person. Of the reaction of that person. The person said, oh really? I guess I had to be here. That's fine. With a smirk. And the secretary didn't know, how's it possible that a person should be so... They were waiting. They were like getting into that mode of, okay, now I'm gonna get it. Because, people have, say they are young, people have what to do in their life, and it's fine, I guess I had to be here, and just with that calmness in their mind. Now you can never know what that lesson for that secretary was, but that was one part of the hemshech of the day, and that person saw that there's something happened now to the secretary's mind by watching this. Person saw, wow, and it's a lesson that could take years to learn. And number 2, what happened was that person was going on a bus and was like in the learning mode. I guess I have to be here. And the person started talking to somebody else on the bus. And that person, the other fellow on the bus was saying, I went through hard times. When I was a teenager, I was struggling. But my father had such a emunah. That's Lefi Tumah, it's called. It means nobody planned this conversation. Nobody was triggering the topic b'chlal. My father had such a emunah. I saw he lives with Hashem. That held me in the toughest times. My father, he lived. It was reality by him. It was simple reality by him. And the person came home after this whole trip, going to the doctor, missing the bus, and just coming home. It was a 3-hour job. Come back home, and felt such a pleasure, and felt so derhoiben. Felt like they just went to the kois and said the whole to them. That's what they felt like. They felt like they were just a miron, and they're just like a new person. It's a lesson. We could all learn that story if we decide, before all these crazy, weird things happen to us, I have no idea where I'm going. Most people don't click into that world only if something's like really crazy. And then they're like, I guess something is happening. Hashem is running my world. But if we would do it more often, we walk. Someone meets us in the street and starts talking to us. Fascinating. I guess I'm supposed to. Hashem says that's how you're supposed to live your life. You head on, you go on, and you see, wow, I guess this is what I needed to do. And then every day could be adventurous. It could be mamash an adventure. Every person could try it. It's mamash an adventure because there's no routine. People make the routine and then get upset at every person that interferes. Get out of here. I need to go here. I need to do that. And I need to do the same thing every single day. But people that they don't make, they go because they know they have to go to learn, they have to go to daven, all that. But they're always in that mode. Like in the car, there's like they put the clutch, they're in that mode. Then what happens is they find fascinating things. When they open up a sefer, it happens to them. Because it's midah keneged midah. Hashem does it. It's not people in fantasy world. B'chlal not. Very miyushav people. They open up in sefer and say, "Whoa, this is what I needed to do now. This is what I needed to hear. This pasuk. Let me say it again and again. This pasuk. This is what I needed to know right now." It gives such comfort for a person, but it needs that achnoah every day. When a person feels that he's very stable and he's very successful and he's a good guy, he needs to know, even there, I have no idea what's happening to my life. I'm in no control of my life. Before any tzorah. Not because it's a tzorah. It's not made for tzorahs. This topic is not about tzorahs. This topic is about enjoying life. But it needs that achnoah. It's a more to maybe the first day it's interesting. But then, when the Yetzer Hara sees what you do, the Yetzer Hara fights it. And you're supposed to remind yourself every single day, every single time, and even when it's people that are just bothering you, to get into that. Now, this is a shtickle hakdama. It's a shtickle introduction to something that the Chavis Alvavis mentions when the Chavis Alvavis actually starts the sugya of Tzadik V'Raleh. And let's enter the official question, let's call it. The Chavis Alvavis says, the Nevi'im all along were bothered with the question, how could it be, Madua derech Hashoim tzleicha? How could it be that people that are not following orders, that are not going al pi Torah, are having a good life, they're enjoying life all around? Also money, also covered, also sometimes successful. The Chassam Sofer has arichas. They're successful in Ruchnius too. Chassam Sofer says that. Hey, that's not fair. Not only he's the sponsor in the shul, he's learning what his chavrusa as well. And we know that, he's not the way a yid is supposed to look. He's like shtei shulchanos. He's the Torah Gedula. Now, most people add, they say, not only has Torah, you see, he has Gedula. Some people, the question is, the weird is that they have Gedula with Torah. He adds that addition to Torah also, and he's Gedula with Torah u'makam echad. Madua derech Hashem tzleicha. Moshe Rabbeinu asked the question, Yirmiyah Novi asked the question, Chavakuk, the Nevi'im say that, it says in the pasuk, he told Hashem, I'm not leaving this circle. Og Ugo, he with a stick, he said, I'm not leaving unless Hashem helps me. I should know the answer. And in Eov, the Ramban says that the whole Eov is based to talk about this question. Rosho v'toivlo tzadik v'rala. Now, the Chavis Alvava says, why is the answer not brought down clear in the Nevi'im? The question is there with flashing colors. Many times, with flashing colors, the question is written in Novi, in the Chumash and in the Novi, and again and again and again. Why isn't there a clear-cut answer? These answers that are like touching the tip of an iceberg. Where's the answer? Chayes says, I want to give you an introduction. The reason why there's no clear-cut answer, because it's not possible to give an answer because of a technical reason. Because Because there is never, ever two cases that have the same answer. So important to learn this. Simple. That's what Chavez says. Before you go into Hanistoras Lashem V'Lekeinu, he says, I want you to understand. There's so much detail involved. How Hashem runs the world, and who you are, and what's actually happening, that it's not possible to say an answer which is going to fit even two of the cases. We have phone numbers. How many digits? 10? Including the area code and the country code. How many numbers is there? 10, 11? And there's no two phone numbers the same. Is billions? How many phone numbers are there? There's no two the same. And there's aim parts of Ayim Shavuos. If we just look around, there are no people in the 7 or 8 billion people that are in the world. And you have to reckon 3 times as much as cell phones, right? Numbers is much more. But you have in the world, no people look the same. And no people ever, that means even if you go back, not only now, from B'riyas Ha'olam. So if you could see that with your own eyes, if you could just tap onto that in reality to see that that's only Hashem can do that. You could also understand that the baggage of the person, that means now it's not only the facial, the lines, to see how the face is designed. Now you want to go in and the whole DNA. It means that you want to go and understand how this is working and why this is happening to that person. Of course there's no the same. Of course. So it wouldn't make sense to give an answer. And then the Chizabova says, but I could outline for you some basic Yisoidis, the simple Yisoidis. Of course we can learn the Yisoidis, but then to know and say, hey, that's why it happened to him, that would be stupid. To be able to point a finger and say, that's why it happened to him. It's not, it doesn't make any sense. Very dumb to be able to point a finger. So that is in continuation to the first topic, the first half that we learned in the beginning of this shir. There are Yisoidis. There is Yisoidis in Yiddishkeit, how things work. Of course. There's Yisoidis in Yiddishkeit, how things work. That means there's a musig of Midah Keneged Midah. There's so many musogim that a person should know. There's a musig that if a person does an Aveda, he could expect that maybe something is going to go wrong. A person does a mitzvah, then he sees Hashem smile to him. There's such musogim. But in order to understand the picture, your own picture, and even when it sounds so simple, it means a person did an Aveda, and then 5 minutes later they tripped, and something happened. Well, you know one part. You might see a part of Torah, but you can't know the whole picture. Listen to this story. It just happened a week and a half ago. Maybe 2 weeks ago. A person told me the story. His father had I forgot what it was. I think it was Hashtalat Klaya. How do you say that? A kidney transplant. Now, a little bit weak, a little bit Baruch Hashem. It was something like that. And now, somebody came to the family and said, if you have any kind of case in health, you could take a lot of money in Eretz Yisrael from the Bituach Leumi. That means you just have to say that that he can't walk, he can't do this, he can't do that, and then it's easy money, because once it comes in, every month a few thousand shekel. Don't be stupid. Listen, your father really went through something, you should look into it. So they look into it, and then the way it works is that someone goes and interviews, and you have to answer questions. And they knew even before that you can't say the truth, because if it's the truth, then okay, Baruch Hashem is fine. They have to lie. That's how we call it in English, lie. Some people have different literature about it. Lie. Now, what do they have to say? A true story with the details. They had to say that the father falls. He walks, but he needs aids because he just falls down the middle. So they said, now the father himself didn't want they should do all these shtick. He didn't want. But the other family members couldn't halzachaim. They was too big of an isoin. And there's rabbonim, you know how these things go, and it's a mitzvah because the Medina, I know all that. And what they did was they signed and they started getting in money. 1 week later, this happened a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, this person fell and broke his shoulder. He's still laying. Broke his shoulder. And the child, which is a younger man, he put one and one together. He said, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This is what we signed. This is what we wrote. We wrote that he falls. And it never happened to him. Scary. But then he says, but why did it happen to my father? My father wasn't involved in this. He didn't want that they should lie. Now, we don't know all the cheshbonos. We have the mind of a person has to be able to handle both thoughts at the same time. It's very important in Yiddishkeit. People get mixed up. It's very important. It's maybe the most important topic of this year is to get this straight. A mind of a person has to be able to adjust both thoughts. Mitzad echod, yes, I got a message in the Shemaim. It's very possible that it has to do with that. The Mishnah says in Masechtas Peah that if someone says and lies and makes a show that they're a chiger, lame, that they can't, they have a hard time walking and they're limping, they will not go away from the world before that actually happens to them. That's the Mishnah Masechtas Peah with this example. And especially Hashem wants to show and everything. It's amazing. Mitzat Sheni. That's one part of this puzzle. It's so simple and that there's more parts. Even us simple human beings that we're so limited, we are so limited in our minds. When we make a move, we make a decision, there's always more to it than the fellow that looks and says, oh, that's why he did that. It's not why, oh, he did the shidduch. I know why he did that shidduch. You might know one reason. Most times not. But you might know one of the reasons, but there's so much that you don't know. Who don't you know? Yeah, it's simple. When Hashem does it, even if you might figure out, Torah says this and this will happen. But there's more factors. There's never two the same. So that's why a person always has the achnoah. He says, I need to learn the message that I need to. This is what I need to fix. I got a message on Hashemayim, I need to fix that. I need to do tshuva on that. It still doesn't mean that I know the whole story, but this is what's important for me to know. The bank gives you, when you sign a mortgage, this amount papers to sign. Now, if you would read everything that you sign on, you would definitely have a Arichas Yomim. You would live 150 years. But then the guy says, listen, I'll tell you what's important for you to know. If he's honest, he says, this you need to know. There's certain basic things that it's important you should know. That in case you want to just leave in the middle and pay up your mortgage, it might cost you. You might have to pay a knas. There's certain basic things I want you to know. This is what you're in for. There's a lot of things happening. A lot of things. And always, a person has to remember that. So I don't know which world I am. But right now, Hashem is telling the person, the part that the person could chap, Hashem is telling the person, this is what you need to know. Sign here, this line. You fix that. Do tshuva on something that you could figure out. People say, but I can't figure out everything. How can I know on what I'm supposed to be doing tshuva? No, you don't know the whole story. You don't. But if you could figure out something simple, and you mean it from the bottom of your heart, that's what you need to know.
Even though at the same time he has that part of the story he doesn't understand, that why did he have to fall? He didn't want to do.
Yes, let's chaza that, because it's so true and it's so simple in everybody's life, even in minor things that happen. Even if at the same time a person says, but this part of the story I don't chap. This part, I don't know why. So many times, two people do the same avla together. Something happens to the other one doesn't. I repeated this story about the Bituach Leumi. I repeated that story to someone which knows about this topic from the other side. And the reaction was, and there's tens of people that nothing happened to them. They're taken from a yad. Now, one of the answers is that Hashem doesn't show to everybody. The people that have a certain sensitivity to themselves, it's simple. The people that want to be good, the people that they're in the right track and they made a wrong move, Hashem smiles and says, come, let's go back. Kalabolatar, Messiah knows that you're bolatar. I know you. I know you didn't want to do it. And you're in a good, Messiah knows so. Oh, that was a mistake. And a person is always, I know, I made a mistake. Or a person that's like, don't bother me, okay? I know what I'm doing. I have a head from a rub. Now don't try to mix it. If a person doesn't want to hear, then they would get something or initially take it from a yard. No. That's one of the answers. But of course, now it helps us a ton when people struggle after Miron we had this whole conversation about we do know why things happen, we don't know why tragedies happen. Did it happen because people weren't careful, or did it happen because how do we know Cheshbon Hashemayim? The same, the challenge. But in the person's life, a person is supposed to get used to understanding that how these two things complement each other instead of contradicting. They don't contradict at all. There's the part that Hashem wants you to know. Take, let's say, Torah. When we learn Torah, and we try to understand the Tosfos. We try to understand a piece of Tosfos. A person could say Tosfos and say, I have no idea what's going on, but I have a Muna Shalema. Tosfos definitely knew what he's talking about. So let's continue on. And every shtickle Gemara is going to learn like that. I doubt what Rav Nachman said. Are you normal? Of course I know that it's 100% true. That's why I'm just going to daven. I'm just going to continue and go blot after blot. No, of course we're supposed to try to understand what. We're supposed to try to understand what does Hashem want you to learn from this Gemara. The rest, the Kabbalah that's lying under it, which is right now not negaya for you, and Ichanami, you should continue on. You should know there's something deeper. Now, a person that learns Gemara with Achnoah does both things at once. They try to understand. Mainly, what are they trying to understand? What am I supposed to understand? It also touches the topic that really what Hashem wants us to understand from every piece of Gemara is to be a better Jew. Some people think that they're focusing constantly when they're learning, the Reb Chaims they want to know, the Yeshiva Sharei they want to know. If there's some Musar and Agarata is not for us, because that kids could do that. Right? I didn't come to Brisk to learn Agarata. There's a fundamental mistake. The mistake is that, one second, there's so much depth to this piece of Gemara. Any Gemara that you're learning, you're not even touching the tip of an iceberg, for sure not. You're learning Zvochem, and you're learning all the halachos of Kochim. Even Reb Chaim and every single Achron, especially Brisk, they never say why. All they do is, they Hagdoros. That's what Brisk does. They could explain how the outline of this is what the Torah says, and this is, they don't even say that they're telling you why. But even without that, Stamazah, of course a person doesn't know the whole deal. So one second, so who told you what yet, or what you should learn, what you shouldn't learn? Good Magid Yeshurim have this sense, they say, of them darf man sich nicht stellen. Which in English it means, we don't need to go into this little dead end and start investing a week time in something. That's not what we're learning right now. Right now we're learning this, and a different time, maybe Chalamoyed would be a beautiful topic to discuss how a mikveh works. But right now that's not our topic. What's the pshat in that? The pshat is you can go all over the place when you're learning. You can go all over the place. What do I know? Where am I focused? Now, what's a person really supposed to be focused when they're learning? When they're learning, they're really supposed to be focused. How can I be a better Yid? Which line talks to me? That's really always. It doesn't make a difference if you're learning Yevomus, you're learning Kochim, you're learning Orach Chaim HaKodesh, you're learning Chumash Rashi. That is the truth. That's where you focus. You focus, if you find it, if you don't find it, Beseda. But if you find anything that's Negeya, that's Torah. Torah is teaching you how to be a Yid. If that's the case, let's take that and apply it to a situation that's happening. A person sees a situation, they're being dismissed from a job. Very scary. All of a sudden, out of there's a lot of types of nisyonis, but when it comes by surprise, it's like a separate, totally by surprise. No idea. A lot of such nisyonis that come by surprise. Something is happening. Now why is this happening to me? and they're looking around, and they're saying, "Candidly, it's so painful. I'm the big Balaveda, that's why I'm supposed to be the one suffering, and this guy and that guy and my friend and my brother, and why only me?" But why only me is always part of the Kabbalah part of the Sugya. I can't know that part. And there's simple explanations that I don't know that part. When you're starting to compare, forget it. Even to understand your own life, a person would need millions of years to be able to get to the whole deepness why this is happening to him. Even in his own life. Now, comparative means you just doubled it for sure. Now you want to say, his life plus that life, and now you can understand what's the chilik that he is going through. It's narish. So much of Gaiva is also based on that misconception. A person comes to this world and he says, "What do you mean? Because Baruch Hashem, because I'm a handy guy. I'm very bright and successful, handsome. Baruch Hashem. You're asking how I got to this. I'll tell you. One day I'll explain already how I got to it. I hold story with a friend. It's so narish. It's so stupid, dumb. That's how you got here. It has, you're the last part of his story. You have no shaykhs to the story. No connection to the whole story. You have no shaykhs to it. You were there, set up, please go, please come. Hashem created you. People, they're matzlich in business, l'moshel, but they're only matzlich in business because of a certain type of technology that came out onto the world, got exposed 2 years ago. Now, there's a world, 5,700 years, there's a world going on. Now, Hashem created you, and in 2 years earlier, He put out that technology when you're going to be in business. Now, you only made $1 because of that. So how could it be that you should rechen epis, that you understand the picture? He's a developer, and he's a high-tech, and he made this, and he made that, and you chapped that this is how it's supposed to work. It wasn't around, but Hashem created you in the same time that the technology and Azayvite. So the Achnoah brings to a person that every situation they learn, they say like that. Mitzat Sheni. Now we're juggling both machshavas at the same time. They don't lose touch with the reality by floating. Certain people, it's not a big percentage of people, certain people have this, they tap into this too much. They're shut down always. They say,
whatever.
They use the word whatever, that's maybe the title of it. I have no idea what's going on, so I can't do anything. So who knows? So I also, everything that they do, not Mitzat Sheni, Yeshua wanted us to be in this world, in touch with reality, and do everything api Torah. Then you know you're right. Torah wants me to do this, Torah wants you to do that, the Torah. You go, it's just in the back of your mind, you live that type of life. The comfort that a person lives is a certain automatic bitochen. Even if a person wouldn't learn bitochen, the word, or the topic, or different aspects of bitochen, if they would live such a type of a life, it's very ruhig a life. You know, this is where I'm supposed to be. Hashem mitzad gever karnonu v'darka yechpatz. Hashem wanted I should be here, I guess. The Baal Shem Tov says, what's v'darka yechpatz? Hashem puts in the craving in a person's heart that a person should want to go there. Because Hashem wants him to be there. Mitzadi gover is the footsteps of a person. Hashem makes a person want to go and travel to who knows where because he needs to be there because of a total different reason. We once said over from one of the tzaddikim that a person finds themselves in a big Rebbe, that's what he said. A big Rebbe went with all his gaboim to shaf money for his moizdis. The whole reason was because one of the gaboim needed to be there and make a shahakal. It wasn't to do with the whole. He was the guy. And it's constantly true. It's constantly true. So it's hard to ask the question, when we have, it's always a different answer. It's always a different answer. Now just to finish off the share, it's important to know, whenever we learn a topic that's so broad, and it involves every kind of person and every kind of situation, the Torah it's always a bit different. It means it's not a one set answer. It's not a one size fits all. A guy says, why am I going through this? You learned Chavis Avavas. Tell me the answer. Why am I going through this? Chavis Avavas here tells us, I want to tell you something, B'chlal. There's never two the same. No two situations, no two people. So, no Gulgulim and parents. So I can't tell you why I'm going through this. I can tell you what's the Avodas Hashem. In such, what you're supposed to be thinking while you're going through this. Oh, that makes sense. What you're supposed to be thinking, that's state. You're asking why it happened, it doesn't say in Novi the answer, even not to Moshe Rabbeinu. You're asking, what could I think that should comfort me, so I should be able to have simcha, and I should be able to continue on alive? Oh, das kann man lernen, that's the Torah, and then a person hooks on to Hashem without having to know the whole deepness, the whole answer. Okay.
Okay. Ja, ik ga bij